Wealthy traveler missed his flight. The taxi driver who helped got more than he ever hoped for. Rain hammered against the terminal windows of Denver International Airport as Marcus Wellington checked his Rolex for the 5th time in 2 minutes. 6:47 p.m. His flight to Los Angeles had departed 17 minutes ago, taking with it his chance to close the biggest deal of his career. "Sir, I'm sorry, but the next available flight isn't until tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m., the airline representative said, her practiced smile doing little to soften the blow. "Due to the storm, we're experiencing significant delays and cancellations." Marcus ran his hand through his graying hair, feeling the weight of 48 years and countless business battles suddenly pressing down on his shoulders. The merger with Hartwell Industries had taken 3 years to orchestrate, and tomorrow's 2 p.m. meeting in Beverly Hills was non-negotiable. The board members were flying in from Japan, and rescheduling would cost millions. What about other airlines? Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer from the chaos surrounding him. "Everything's grounded, sir. The storm system is massive." Marcus stepped away from the counter, pulling out his phone to call his assistant. Dead battery, of course. He'd been in meetings all day and forgot to charge it. Around him, frustrated, travelers filled every seat, many camping on the floor with their luggage. That's when he noticed the small handwritten sign near the exit. "Honest Taxi, fare rates minus 24/7 service." An older black man in his 60s stood beside it, wearing a worn but clean flannel shirt and a Denver Broncos cap. Unlike the aggressive taxi drivers shouting for customers, this man simply stood quietly, occasionally helping elderly passengers with their bags. Marcus approached him. "Are you available for a long trip?" The driver looked up with kind brown eyes. "Depends on where you're headed, sir. Los Angeles." "I know it sounds crazy, but I need to be there by 2 p.m. tomorrow." The driver, whose name tag read Samuel Johnson, studied Marcus for a moment. "That's about 1,000 miles, sir. 18 hours of straight driving in good weather. With this storm." He gestured toward the windows where rain continued to pelt. "The glass." "I'll pay whatever you ask," Marcus said desperately. "I have cash, credit cards, whatever you need." Samuel scratched his chin thoughtfully. "It's not about the money, sir. It's about safety. These mountain roads in weather like this. It's dangerous." "Please," Marcus said, and for the first time in years there was genuine vulnerability in his voice. "This meeting could save my company. A lot of people depend on me." Samuel looked at this well-dressed stranger in his expensive suit and Italian leather shoes. He'd been driving taxi for 32 years, ever since he'd lost his job at the steel mill, and he'd developed a good sense about people. This man wasn't just another entitled businessman. There was something desperate and honest in his plea. "All right," Samuel said finally, "but we do this safe. We'll drive through the night, take breaks when we need to, and if the weather gets too bad, we stop." "Deal." Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Deal. Thank you, Mr. Johnson." "Just." "Samuel is fine, sir." They walked through the sliding doors into the storm. Samuel's taxi was a well-maintained 2018 Toyota Camry, not fancy but spotless inside and out. As they loaded Marcus's luggage, Samuel insisted on placing plastic covers over the leather seats. "Don't want to get your suit wet, sir," Samuel said. As they pulled away from the airport, Marcus tried to process what he'd just committed to. 18 hours in a car with a complete stranger, driving through a storm toward the most important meeting of his career. It was either the most desperate or the most brilliant decision he'd ever made. "So what kind of business are you in?" Samuel asked as they merged onto I-25 South, windshield wipers working overtime. "Investment and acquisitions," Marcus replied, then added, "I buy and sell companies. Must be stressful work." Marcus was surprised by the observation. Most people heard his job description and immediately thought about money. "It can be. What about you? How long have you been driving?" 32 years come December, Samuel said, skillfully navigating the treacherous roads. Started right after the mill closed down. Had to do something to support my family. Family? Lost my wife, Dorothy, to cancer 8 years ago. But I got 3 grown kids and 5 grandchildren. They're my world now. Marcus felt an unexpected pang. His own ex-wife had left him 5 years ago, taking their 2 children to Seattle. He saw them maybe 4 times a year. When business allowed, the conversation continued as they drove through Colorado Springs, then south toward New Mexico. Samuel shared stories about his regular customers, the night shift nurses he drove home from the hospital, the college students he helped get to their dorms safely. In return, Marcus found himself talking about things he hadn't discussed in years. His father's small hardware store, how he'd built his business from nothing, the loneliness of success. Around 11 p.m., as they crossed into New Mexico, the storm finally began to clear. Samuel pulled into a truck stop near Santa Fe. "We should get some food and coffee," Samuel said. Long night ahead. Inside the diner, they sat across from each other in a red vinyl booth. Marcus noticed how Samuel insisted on paying for his own meal despite Marcus's protests, and how he knew the waitress by name. "You're a good man, Samuel," Marcus said suddenly. Samuel looked surprised. "Just trying to do right, sir. My Dorothy always said kindness costs nothing but pays everything." As they prepared to continue their journey, Marcus realized something had shifted. This wasn't just a business transaction anymore. For the first time in years, he was genuinely connecting with another human being. The highway stretched endlessly ahead as they drove through the night. 2 men from completely different worlds, discovering they had more in common than either had imagined. But neither of them knew that this journey would change both their lives in ways they could never have anticipated. Samuel glanced at his passenger, who had finally fallen asleep against the window, and smiled. Sometimes the best trips weren't about the destination. They were about who you met along the way. Marcus woke as sunlight streamed through the passenger window. For a moment, he was disoriented, then remembered where he was. Samuel was still driving, looking remarkably alert for someone who'd been behind the wheel for over 12 hours. "Good morning, sir," Samuel said. "We're about 3 hours outside Los Angeles. Made good time once the storm cleared." Marcus checked the dashboard clock. 11:15 a.m. They would actually make it with time to spare. "Samuel, you're incredible. Have you been driving all night?" "Took a couple short breaks when you were sleeping. Walked around, got some coffee. I'm used to long shifts." Marcus studied the man beside him with new respect. Samuel had refused to let him drive, insisting it was his responsibility and that Marcus needed rest for his important meeting. Throughout the night, he'd been nothing but professional, kind, and genuinely concerned for Marcus's well-being. "Tell me about your grandchildren," Marcus said. Samuel's face lit up. "Oh, there's something else. My youngest granddaughter, Emma, she's 7 and wants to be a doctor. Smart as a whip, but her mama, that's my daughter Lisa, she's struggling to pay for Emma's school supplies, let alone save for college." "What does Lisa do?" "She's a nurse at Denver General. Works double shifts when she can get them. Her ex-husband doesn't help much with support." Samuel's voice carried no bitterness, just matter-of-fact acceptance. Marcus felt something stirring in his chest, an emotion he hadn't experienced in years. Here was a man who had every reason to be bitter about life's inequities, yet he radiated nothing but warmth and dignity. "My son James, he's 32, works construction," Samuel continued. "Good with his hands, just like his grandfather. But he hurt his back last year and has been out of work. Been staying with me while he gets back on his feet." "And your third child, Michael, he's the baby at 28. Got himself through community college working nights and weekends. He's a teacher now, works with kids who've been in trouble with the law. Doesn't pay much, but he loves it. As they entered the outskirts of Los Angeles, Marcus realized that in 18 hours, Samuel had told him more about real life, real struggles, and real love than he'd heard in his boardrooms in decades. "Samuel, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Sir, why did you agree to drive me?" "Really? You could have made more money with short trips around Denver." Samuel was quiet for a moment. "You reminded me of someone." "Who?" "Myself, about 35 years ago. Young man in a hurry, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Someone helped me once when I needed it most. Figure it was my turn to pass it along." They pulled up to the Beverly Hills Hotel at 1:30 p.m. Marcus had 30 minutes to shower, change, and get to his meeting. As Samuel helped him with his luggage, Marcus pulled out his wallet. "How much do I owe you?" Samuel calculated quietly. "With gas and the overnight rate, comes to about $850. Marcus handed him $1,500 bills. "Keep the change." Samuel looked at the money and tried to hand back the extra. "Sir, this is too much." "No, Samuel, it's not enough." Marcus pulled out a business card and wrote something on the back. "This has my personal number. I want you to call me when you get back to Denver." "Sir, I don't understand." Marcus shook Samuel's hand firmly. "Just call me, please." 45 minutes later, Marcus sat in a conference room overlooking Rodeo Drive, successfully closing the biggest deal of his career. But for the first time, the victory felt hollow. All he could think about was a taxi driver who'd spent 18 hours helping a stranger, asking for nothing in return. 2 days later, back in his Denver penthouse office, Marcus's assistant buzzed him. "Mr. Wellington, there's a Samuel Johnson on line 1. Marcus smiled for the first time since the meeting. "Put him through." "Mr. Wellington, this is Samuel. You asked me to call." "Samuel, thank you for calling. How was your drive back?" "Long, but safe, sir. I wanted to thank you again for your generosity." "Actually, Samuel, I'm the one who should be thanking you. You saved my deal, but more than that, you reminded me of something I'd forgotten." "What's that, sir? What really matters in life?" Marcus took a deep breath. "Samuel, I'd like to offer your son James a job. I'm expanding my facilities management division, and I need someone reliable to oversee building maintenance. Good salary, full benefits, and it's not heavy labor." There was silence on the other end. "Sir, James would be grateful, but he doesn't have experience in commercial buildings. I have training programs. What matters is character, and if he's anything like his father, that won't be a problem." "Mr. Wellington, I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything yet. I'm not finished." Marcus stood and walked to his window, looking out over the city. "I've also been thinking about your granddaughter Emma. I'd like to set up an education fund for her. Full scholarship through college, including medical school, if that's what she wants." "Sir, that's not necessary. We don't need charity." "It's not charity, Samuel. It's an investment in good people. In the future." Marcus paused. "And there's one more thing. I'm starting a foundation to help working families in Denver. People like your daughter Lisa who are doing everything right but still struggling. I'd like you to help me run it." "Me?" "Sir, I drive a taxi. You drive a taxi, but you understand people. You understand need, and you understand dignity." Marcus sat back down. "The job pays well, has full benefits, and you'd be helping families across the city. What do you say?" Samuel was quiet for so long that Marcus wondered if the call had been dropped. Finally, he heard a sound that took him a moment to recognize. Samuel Johnson, the man who had driven through a storm to help a stranger, was crying. "Mr. Wellington," Samuel said, his voice thick with emotion. "Dorothy always said that kindness travels in circles. You help someone, and somehow, someway, it comes back to you. I thought I was just helping you get to a meeting. You were helping me get to much more than a meeting, Samuel. You were helping me find my way back to being human." 6 months later, Marcus stood in the lobby of the Samuel and Dorothy Johnson Community Center, watching Samuel help a young mother fill out job applications while James supervised the installation of new computers for the children's education program. Emma Johnson's picture hung on the wall next to other scholarship recipients, her bright smile promising a future full of possibilities. Marcus's ex-wife had called the week before. She'd heard about the foundation and wanted to talk about the kids spending more time with him. For the first time in years, Marcus was looking forward to being a father again. As he watched Samuel work, Marcus reflected on how a missed flight and a storm had led him to the most important destination of his life. Not a boardroom or a deal, but a reminder of what success really meant. Sometimes the longest journeys take you exactly where you need to go. The end.
Thank you for watching this story unfold with us here on M&A The Story Unfolds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to know where you're watching. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the world you're joining us from. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.